right, I'm really excited to introduce Karla. What might the future sound like about the Future Soundscapes Lab with Dr. Karla Paniagua. Karla Paniagua is a visual anthropologist with a PhD in transdisciplinary culture and communication studies. She leads the specialty in design of tomorrow, co-edits the journal Economia Creativa, and creates and conducts learning experiences for undergraduate, graduate, and public, private, civil, and academic audiences. All right. I'm going to hand it over to Karla now to get started.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm super happy to be here. I'm apologize first of all because of my awful accent, but I'm gonna do my best. And please feel free to share with me your thoughts and your questions, because we are going to have space to answer questions and any feedback that you want to share with me, okay? So, okay, let me check. As Elena shared with you, I lead a graduate future studies program at Centro de Diseño y Comunicación. It's a higher education institution focused on creativity and located in Mexico City. Since its professionalization, in the middle of the last century, future studies have been concerned with studying possible, probable, or preferable futures to accompany people and organizations in better adapting to change and designing strategies to implement the most desirable scenarios. I'm going to share with you some slides in a moment. Be patient with me, please. To achieve this, future studies rely on different tools and methods, right? One of the best known is the scenario method, which finds its precursor in Herman Kahn. He used to work in the oil company Shell, you must know it. And he founded the foresight department in the middle of the last century. Okay, so future studies work like a language with codes, grammar, and syntax. So in this program, we teach those codes, okay? To train our students, we show them rational pathways, but also exploratory experiences that broaden their imagination and narrative resource repertoire, okay? Today, I will refer to one experience we started 6 years ago, the Future Soundscapes Lab. So I'm going to share with you, first I'm going to share with you some slides, and then I'm going to share with you some sounds, of course. There I go. Thank you, Lena. Okay. So, well, this is Centro. This is our campus in Mexico City. Please come to visit us every time you want to. We are going to be so happy to have you there. We have, in fact, we have international students, not only because we have online programs, but we have an international program to have international students in presence, on presence. So what might the future sound like? That was the question we asked ourselves to create this lab. Students collaborate with teachers Enrique Urbina, head of the sci-fi scenario class, and Leonardo Santiago, sound producer and director of the Future Soundscapes Lab. This presentation aims to share this educational experience that involves creativity, storytelling, anticipatory thinking, and sound production. Here, well, not here, but here you can check all the program structure. So the Future Soundscapes Lab happens in the second semester because this is a one-year program, one-year graduate program. So it happens in the second semester of the program, okay? And here you can check the future studies purpose because this is a formal field of inquiry. And here you can check our lab's purpose, the Future Soundscapes Lab purpose. Okay. So about the Future Soundscapes concept, Michael Sodworth coined the concept of soundscape, only soundscape, okay? But it became popular thanks to Murray Schafer in the 70s. It refers to a sound fragment of everyday reality recorded for analysis and problematization. For Schafer, the human world is like a symphony of sounds, and a soundscape narrates a chain of events. So it's a story in a way. Thus, a future soundscape is a narrative created with archive or especially record everyday sounds, presenting a long-term scenario in a given context. When I say long-term, I refer to a story that is happening at least 10 years ahead, okay? But maybe it's happening not only 10 years, but 20 years or 100 years or 1,000 years, okay? Ahead. So making a soundscape involves the elaboration of digital scrapbooks whose potential has grown and become much more accessible thanks to the rise of mobile telephony, because our students don't need like a professional studio to produce these future soundscapes. They only need like a computer and their mobiles, okay? So recording, compiling, and then post-producing soundscapes is a curatorial creative act. Soundscapes require analytical and concentrated production and listening, so they contribute when used appropriately to provide an experience and a better understanding of the environment, not only environment about the future, because a soundscape, this is a specific future soundscapes lab, but a soundscape, in fact, can happen in the present, okay? For this reason, soundscapes are commonly used for architecture, planning, and in this case, we use future soundscapes to study future representations and their implications. We use this context to reflect on the future, on the ethical implications of some scenarios in a specific context, okay? So the laboratory is an online experience conducted once a year during the second semester of the Future Studies program, as I shared with you a moment ago, and it's a complementary activity to the curriculum. What I mean is not a mandatory subject, okay? It's a laboratory that our students can choose, and I must say every year all our students participate, every cohort participate. The teaching learning model is evaluated and optimized yearly to offer better results. I'm going to share with you the framework. The deliverable of this lab is a 1 to 5 minute soundscape of the future produced by each student, inspired by the stories the participants wrote in the previous semester during the creative writing of future scenarios course, okay? The stories that the students have developed explore possible futures of a topic that each student, each attendant has freely chosen, like pedestrian mobility, pollution, electoral process. I must say that it's quite common that even though we don't suggest any editorial pathway to choose the topic, the main topic, Students usually choose like critical problems, okay, like wicked problems to develop their projects during the 1 year program. Okay. These stories are written in Spanish, and students are encouraged to rescue the local look and feel in their storytelling. These attributes shape the scripts that will later become the soundscapes. The laboratory has a total length of 16 hours divided into weekly sessions according to the sequence. So first of all, they study what is acoustic design, the conceptual framework, the technical guidelines, all that they need to create a soundscape, even though maybe they don't know anything about sound production or sound design, okay? After that, they explore the phonosphere. They understand what is a noise, what is music, the difference between music and nature sounds, voices, all the components to design a story. And they have also fieldwork to listen and distinguish between different sources, stakeholders, and levels of sound experience, because this is the way they are going to understand the grammar, isn't it? They don't want them to take for granted the acoustic design. They're supposed to understand that are different levels that they can use to construct a syntax. After this, they're supposed to learn how to associate images with sounds. And they explored art, and they create mood boards using sounds as inspiration, as input. After that, they explore sound libraries like Splash Sound and Pexels. And then they elaborate a script using the story that they wrote in the first semester, a sci-fi story. They use this story as a reference or as an input to develop the concept and the script for the future soundscape. And then they collect sonors, they collect sounds. They can use their personal archives, or they can record specific noises or music or voices to construct the story, okay? They look for sounds, maybe using splash sound or any other kind of archive to design the story. And then they're supposed to produce the story. I made a mistake here because don't supposed to be 15 minutes, but 1 to 5 minutes only. Don't supposed to be too long, okay? And then all the cohorts supposed to listen to the story and to offer feedback to optimize the stories, the future soundscapes. And then once all the soundscapes are improved, they send to me the materials, and I put all these materials in our collection, because I have a Bandcamp that I'm going to share with you. So here in the Bandcamp website, we have one collection for each cohort, okay? So I'm going to share with you in a moment a couple of examples, but this is the way we do it. Wait a second, please. I'm almost there, because now, okay, this is the one that I want to share with you. Yes. So once we have all, this is the framework, the theoretical framework. So we use the reference of Schaffer's concept of soundscape and Julian Blicker's design fiction concept as well. We use Tarakannov's sonosphere and sonor concept. The sonosphere is the meaning unit that we use as a reference. And finally, we use the framework of Stuart Candy and Jake Donegan's experiential futures model. And we use all these elements to design this experience and to deliver the future soundscapes, all right? But I think the best way to understand this work is to listen it. So let's jump into it, okay? I'm going to share with you 2 soundscapes, and then we can comment. So please, Elena, let me know if you can hear it, please. Yes? Wait a second. I'm going to run the sound, but at the same time, sorry, I'm going to share with you this slide because I think this is a specific soundscape needs a further explanation so you can understand what is happening, because I think some of the action happens in Spanish. So I'm going to give you the references so you can understand what is happening, okay? Let's do this.
Buenos días, Gabriela. Hoy es quincena y estarás recibiendo 200,000 pesos de tu ingreso básico universal. Como acordamos, estarás invirtiendo un 40% en tu retiro, 20% en tu departamento en la playa, 10% para tu viaje del próximo año y el resto se va a tu cuenta corriente de gastos. ¿Quieres modificar algo? Nueva meta creada. Has destinado un 10% de inversión para tu doctorado en el 2045. Felicidades por invertir en tu aprendizaje. El resto de tus metas llevan un rendimiento positivo. A este ritmo concluirás tu meta del departamento un año antes. ¿Quieres una selfie de este momento para compartir con tus amigos? Hasta luego.
Okay, now I'm going to share with you another one. This is longer, and I think this is easier to understand without references, but anyway, just in case, I'm going to share with you this slide so you can understand what is happening, okay? Because I think a lot of stuff is happening during the story. So this is about pollution in Monterrey, Nuevo León, in the south of the country. What I like the most about these stories is that even though the program is located in Mexico City, not all our students are in Mexico City because this is an online program. So we have stories about many cities, not only Mexican cities, but Colombian cities, or we have stories from Puerto Rico, we have stories from Peru, because we had students from many other cities, okay? So I'm going to share with you this other one. Be patient. Sorry, I made a mistake. It was the same one. Sorry. Let's go.
Mira, ¿ya viste? Dicen que andando en uno de esos, hasta se respira un aire diferente.
Estas fueron las noticias. La temperatura es de 30 grados. La calidad del aire en el centro de Monterrey se reporta por debajo de los estándares permitidos. Se recomienda no realizar actividades al aire libre. El sistema de purificación de aire se encuentra activo. Seguimos rumbo a su destino. Llegaremos en poco tiempo. Estamos a punto de entrar al túnel de la Loma Larga. Por seguridad, mantendremos el sistema de manejo autónomo. Pronto llegaremos a su destino. Hemos salido del túnel. La temperatura es de 22 grados, la calidad del aire en el municipio de San Pedro es buena. El sistema de purificación del aire será desactivado. En unos momentos llegaremos a su destino. Hemos llegado a su destino, hay un ambiente seguro, puede bajar sin su respirador. Recuerde estar pendiente de la calidad del aire en los alrededores. Que tenga buen día.
Okay, even you don't have all the translation, what you need to know about this second story is that the main character or the only character is going like across or around the city in a car, in an autonomous car, and the car is giving information about the air quality, and that's it. But what you can appreciate in both soundscapes are the layers. because we have an environment and some layers, and not only noises, but voices. And our students use different resources like the mobile or the, I don't know, Alexa or Siri as a resource to improve the narrative, the story, okay? So I'm going to share with you a couple of references, and then we can jump into the questions and answers, okay? And of course, I'm going to share with you all the collections so you can explore it by yourselves. So far, students from 5 cohorts have produced 35 soundscapes, which you're going to find in a link that I'm going to share with you in a moment. And I think, in fact, I have a QR code for you. For some students, it is easier than for others because writing a sci-fi story, translating it into a script, and learning to record and edit sounds can be challenging. Some of the students already have experience in storytelling or acoustic design. Still, for others, the experience is new and is very frustrating. We have noticed that it is also challenging to get rid of stereotypes, and you can note it because to design future environments, they use many soundscapes, many sounds like laser sounds, intelligent speaker sounds, or like robot-like voices. It is also hard to build a scenario that recovers the local experience, avoiding a flat and universal representation of reality. That's why we encourage students to create soundscapes that consider the understanding of their local realities. That's why I like the second soundscape, because the student, in fact, use and not only recreate, but use archive sounds from the real spaces. To rescue that local references from the environment, the real environment of Monterrey City. We notice patterns when we check the main topics of the soundscapes. These pieces express desires and fears about the impact of technology in human life, but also about the other risks, such as pollution, you can see in this graphic, such as I consider these not only topics, but concerns, okay? In my opinion, we can read this information like concerns about the future, concerns and desires and expectations about the future, okay? Not only creative statements, but also these materials are statements about personal concerns and generational concerns. Like, what I mean is, in my opinion, I consider these materials as ethnographic materials, okay? Like tribal materials, tribal concerns. These soundscapes express desires and fears about the impact of technology. Well, all the topics that I already mentioned, like pollution, social and economic crisis, aging, among other topics. And here I'm going to share with you some pendant tasks, because all the time we try to improve the experience. So we want to achieve for the next cohort, we would like to achieve more fluidity between the sci-fi contents and then translating that to the soundscapes language. We would like to improve the soundscapes quality, and maybe to encourage our students to participate in an award or something like that, to share their work with some other creators, to maybe have any kind of exchange with other schools around the world to change these not visions, but these perceptions about the future, these expectations about the future. We would like to improve the way we evaluate and we offer feedback. We would like to improve our understanding of these materials, like ethnographic materials, as I shared with you a moment ago, and we would like to replicate this model in some other institutions. So feel free to take these references and maybe to replicate this experience, because it can be very challenging, but at the same time, even is challenging, I think it's a great way to understand our concerns, our cultural concerns about the future, okay? And here, I think this first, let me check. I think this first QR code is for the soundscapes collection. Yes, and this second QR code is about a paper that I published like a couple of weeks ago about this experience in the Journal of Future Studies. It's in press now, but you can check it out if you want to check the complete framework and all the explanation of the sequence, and if you want to learn about the references that we use or any. Oh, and in this paper we include like a visual representation of the sequence of the all Future Soundscapes Lab sequence that was created by one of the attendants, and I love that. It's a pretty simple figure, but I think